Good morning, everyone. As you can see, I just woke up with the natural bed head that makes me look so handsome. A lot of things have been going on with me. The creative juices have been flowing, and I do feel like there is something incredibly positive in the air. This coming Monday, actually, is when I start my new job. I'm just very excited to get this job. My old job was too far, and I was never told about the location. So, I felt stuck. I prayed so hard. Looked for many jobs. Finally got this one, and I really think this is going to be a good one. I hope it's a smooth transition. But I am very excited to start. As for things that I have been working on, this week I actually was in the process of buying more books. I went to a spiritual store near my house in Plymouth, Michigan called Earthlore, which I have mentioned before. I've went to Barnes & Noble. I went for another store here that's called Simply Be Well Gifts, and one store in Wyandotte, Michigan called Glowfish Studios. So if you're ever there, it is a great store where I've been buying spiritual books left and right, expensive, but I went on a bit of a book shopping spree and filling up the empty spaces of my bookshelves, which I still have more room. Looks like I've got 3 more spaces over there. And in time, when I do start this job and I can start making money again, I may invest in some books here and there. I've also been drawing again. Preferably, I've been drawing more guardians to doing my spiritual work, creatures, and also I have been working on characters from my mental world and just, expressing myself creatively with the drawing aspect. And I have also taken on a writing endeavor, actually 2. So I have been writing 2 books at the same time. One is a book that I created in high school. There was a class where at the end, if we finished our work, we could go on the internet. So sometimes I used it to write a book. And I based a lot of the characters off of people from my school that I knew. But after I graduated, things got so busy that I stopped writing for a while. For quite a few years, actually. And then finally, I got back to writing it a few years ago. And I looked at the product of which I already had. I was going to reread it before I started writing again. And I found it to be unreadable. It physically hurt my eyes to read it. This was back before I properly knew how to write a book, and nothing was formatted correctly. I don't remember exactly what the font was that I chose, but it just didn't fit. And the information that I wrote down was more like notes, and it would jump from, there was no smooth transition from situation to situation. It was just like, oh, he's here. Okay, then he's here. And I wasn't even able to salvage any of it. I mean, there were some characters that I did set aside, and some locations that I did set aside. But ultimately, I had to scrap the original and rewrite it from scratch. And I was writing it for a time, and then things got busy, and I stopped writing, and I switched over to drawing. But recently, I have gotten back into the swing of writing again, especially since buying these books. It kind of got me in the mood to start writing again. And this time it's a fantasy book instead of a spiritual book. It's an idea that I've had floating in my head for quite some time. And I'm on chapter 6 now, writing. In fact, I think I'm nearly done with it. So I'm excited for that. In time, I do plan on, once the book is finished, sending it to an actual publisher. Because the first book I wrote, which was a spiritual book, I self-published. And I sold a total of 3 copies since that time. And that was quite a few years ago. So even though it didn't get big, hey, I wrote something and it's sold. I am proud of myself for that. And then the second book that I've been writing, actually, I have had help from my friend Cody. He has helped me write this spiritual book, and I'm excited. I don't want to tell you the title, but it is a spiritual book, and I don't want to spoil too much for you, but me and Cody have been working on this together. He has been giving me experiences and facts from his point of view. And Cody, if you are watching this, I thank you for your help. It has been quite helpful in writing this book. And it's nice to be able to write from not only my own experience, but someone else's as well. And get 2 points of view from this subject. I am on chapter 5, I believe. 5 or 6 on that one too. And I just started writing the spiritual book earlier this week. And it's Saturday now. So me and Cody have gotten a lot done. We would start writing, and then, the inspiration would stop. We'd take a break. And then later on, sometimes we'd come back and start writing again. We made good progress, and I hope we continue to make good progress. We didn't write yesterday because I wasn't in the mood to write. I actually drew a little more, and it was fun. But I'm excited for this, and the book that I wrote, the spiritual book, Spiritual Arts, the Beginner's Guide, I was very proud of writing that because it was the first book that I ever wrote. I did sort of rush it to meet a self-imposed deadline. So while I am proud that I wrote it, and there are people who have read it who say, it's really good, personally, I don't think it was my best work, and I do want to continue writing more spiritual books. However, I have challenged myself to write other genres as well. I do have many books that I have started in the works, but total I have about, I want to say 4 books that I actually have a lot on. 2 of them are spiritual books, and one is a fantasy, and another is an adventure book. So I have been working quite a bit on that, and I'm excited. I will let you guys know when I do finish it and do publish it. I'm going to have to constantly read it over to make sure that it makes sense, and make sure that once it is finished and coherent, I have to send it to an editor. Then once I get it back from the editor, I'm going to have to try and find a publisher for it. And hopefully it makes it big. Now, personally, if it doesn't make it big, I'm not going to be too downhearted about it. Not everything can be not everything can be a bestseller that you write. But I will still be excited that I wrote it, and, at least some people will get to see it. But this time for the fantasy book, I will not self-publish it. I don't know about the spiritual book, but definitely for the fantasy book, I do intend on actually sending it to a publisher this time. So, wish me luck with that, and may Thoth guide me. Thank you guys so much for listening to this little update. Please subscribe, like this video. Don't forget to hit the bell button so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And have a blessed morning, all. Bye.